It's been almost 40 years since Ferris Bueller gave us this line. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. For my fellow Gen Xers, you recognize the 1986 movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off. If it's not familiar, Ferris Bueller is a high school student who takes a break to go on an adventure in Chicago. His only mission? To take it easy. And that's something I think we can all do a little bit more of in this fast-paced world. Today, we're bombarded by constant stimuli, unexpected changes, and quick decisions to make. How many times today have you made a quick decision? What if that decision had big impact? What if you could pause for just a moment and have a more thoughtful response? I've had quite a few of those days, and from it, I came up with a method that's worked for me both personally and professionally to navigate this fast-paced world. Ferris would be shocked by life today. Those landline telephones with cords have been replaced with these smartphones in our pockets. How about waiting for your favorite song to play on the radio? It's a click away now with on-demand streaming. How about waiting in line at stores? Not anymore with online shopping. That old, slower pace of those good old days, it really gave us time to just stop and think. But today, we're moving too fast. We have to be more intentional about making space to think. Have you ever felt caught in a whirlwind of technology? Have you ever felt caught in a whirlwind of reactivity? I wonder if you could relate to this day I had when I worked in corporate as a management consultant. Living in the suburbs and working in downtown Chicago makes for a long commute, usually rushed and stressed. This was one of those days. I caught the 7:05 train to downtown, and thinking I'd get ahead of a busy day, I decided to check some emails. The first email I open is from one of my project managers. She tells me she needs to take a family leave, effective immediately. We have a huge project kickoff the following week, and I guess now I have to take the reins. I've got a quick concern for my colleague, but I jump into action firing off emails to the project team, getting them rallied. It's 8:43 now, and I get to the office with just enough time to change those gym shoes for business shoes and head to the 9 o'clock meeting. But on my way, I'm met by a VP who I support. She tells me that board meeting we have scheduled for next week, well, it got moved to this week. And she needs my help with some critical details. That was not on my task list for the day, not in the plan. But I jump into action, I prioritize her request, set the other things I needed to do aside, and got her what she needed. I'm exhausted, finally get home, I want to drop my bag at 6:35 p.m. now. I'm met by a super energetic babysitter who tells me she's so excited because she landed this great job opportunity, and she's putting in her 2 weeks' notice. I'm sorry, what did you say? After that day, I had nothing. There were no words, no even expression on my face. I just froze. Have you ever felt that feeling where your brain just seemed to shut down? All these advances have enabled us to move so quickly, and it's starting to mess with our brains. Two physiological dynamics are at play here: reacting versus responding, and stress leading to overwhelm. Let's break them down. Our brains have evolved to keep us safe. Our ancestors, they needed quick action to stay safe from predators. Today's life stresses really aren't life-threatening. No predators, no real wild chases. What we need instead is to employ the prefrontal cortex. That's where the higher functioning, planning, reasoning, and problem solving takes place. It's where better decisions get made. Now let's talk about stress and overwhelm. Well, Brené Brown explains it something like this. Stress is when an external demand feels beyond our ability to cope. Tough, but manageable. Overwhelm, on the other hand, that feels like quicksand. We just sink. We can't think, act, or even ask for help. Have you ever felt that way? Modern day stresses are coming at us constantly. That crazy day that I had, well, that was actually a buildup of a lot of crazy days. But it was the day that I recognized this impulsive reacting was not working for me. I needed to slow down. And I needed to find a way to get from that tornado of reactivity to more thoughtful responses. This is where the pause framework was born. To illustrate it, I'll take you back through the beginning of that crazy day, but applying the model. I'd like to ask you to think of a time when you had a crazy day. Maybe you felt pulled into reaction after reaction after reaction. Couldn't really think about it, just had to do. Maybe you even felt sunk in that quicksand. If it feels safe, can you remember what that felt like? With that memory in focus, let's go on a drive. Imagine yourself in your car just ahead of one of those crazy reactive moments happening. The drive is your day. You have a plan, a route, a destination. The road is clear, your music's playing, you are on your way. Suddenly, something unexpected happens. A traffic jam, a roadblock. Whatever it is, it jolts you right out of that great flow you had and throws you off course. This is the moment to pause. Roadblocks represent life's surprises, those unexpected things that hit us. The pause framework allows us to navigate them with clarity. Let's talk through it. The first thing we need to do is pull over, stop, and take a breath. In fact, let's do it together. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel where stress might be sitting in your body. Maybe your shoulders are up. Bring them down. A pullover for you might mean different things. It could mean visualizing your happy place, or going for a walk, or stretching, or maybe just finding some stillness with music or quiet. Whatever it is, it always includes a breath, and here's why. Remember that fight or flight mode that our ancestors gave us? Well, when stress kicks in, that's what activates in our brains, and the breath helps us to calm our central nervous system, where we can activate that higher functioning part of our brain and get grounded with what matters most, our values, our long-term goals. When I was sitting on that train, I read that email, I didn't take a breath. I fired off emails in reactive, frustration, worry for that project. In your story, what's a pullover moment that could give you a chance to take a breath? Once we've got that moment to get a little bit grounded, now what we need to do is assess the situation. We do that with two questions. First, what is true? Name the roadblock in your path, and how did it impact your day? Stick to the facts here, because it's really easy to fill in the blanks with assumptions. Only what you know to be true. The next question is what needs to be true? This is your end destination. Describe it. Name it. What are the components that need to be in place for you to be successful? If I had taken a breath, I might have considered that I needed my colleague to feel comfortable taking her leave of absence, and I needed that project to get completed successfully. I had both of those thoughts, but I didn't hold them with equal weight. Thoughtful responses hold both truths, even when they're at odds. What needed to be true and what was true in your story? From here, we need to think about whether or not we need a U-turn. And what I mean by that is uncover some options for possible reroutes. Think about the different options you have to accommodate that roadblock in your way. Can you make a detour? Do you need to stay the course but adjust your ETA? Or do you hit that UE and go back to the beginning? For me, had I gotten this far, I could have considered that I could have brought in a new project manager. I could have waited out my project manager's leave of absence, or maybe I needed to cancel the project. I didn't stop to think about any of those options. What was a possible reroute option that you might have considered? From here, we need to start. Take the next right action, no matter how small. Oftentimes, the next right action is small but significant, so it's really easy to miss. It could simply mean gathering more information or acknowledging that you received the news. Looking back, the first thing I should have done was respond to that colleague and say, hey, take your leave. Be with your family and don't worry about this project. We got it. Of course, I didn't do that. What could be the next right action in your story? From here, we need to evaluate. This is another moment to take a breath and reflect. What's needed now? Perhaps the action you took cleared that roadblock and you can carry on with your day. Or maybe you've just begun to clear that path. Had I taken myself through this process and sent that better email out to my colleague, I would have thought I needed to go back to consider what were those possible reroute options so I could have made a better decision for addressing that project. If you had followed a model like this, how might your day have ended differently? The pause framework has worked for me on many occasions. Does it mean that I'm free of crazy reactive days? Not even close. Ask my family, they've got some stories. But it does mean that I've been able to pull myself over. And I practice the pause, and it will continue to be a practice. I don't think we ever get perfect at something like this. We always feel like we have to practice it. Thoughtful responses don't have to take forever. Remember that VP from that crazy day I had, the one who derailed my day? Well, now in my consulting practice, I've got a better strategy. Now, when a leader kind of goes off the rails and starts swirling, I encourage them to pull over. And we get grounded on what matters most for that project. And considering all things, we find the best way forward. Sometimes, though, the pause could take a little bit longer. You know that babysitter who resigned? That actually turned out to be a pretty long pause for me. From that event, I wove myself in and out of this model, not knowing it at the time, until I finally made a decision to leave corporate and start my own consulting practice. So the pause does work, personally and professionally, for big and smaller situations. The next time you find yourself being pulled into these crazy moments of reactivity, I encourage you to try to remember to pull over. You know, if I were talking to Ferris today, I would tell him life does move pretty fast. But if you pause every once in a while, you'll always find your way. The power is in the pause.